At 11:42 on a Friday night, 8 months pregnant, I received a call from a police officer. Mrs. Lawson, your husband, is at St. Anne's Hospital. He was found inside a burning rental house with another woman. I asked for the address. When the officer said 214 Willow Lane, I didn't scream. I already knew about that house. Then he added, "The woman keeps asking whether you've been contacted." At the hospital, she was lying in the room beside my husband wearing the cream cardigan she had borrowed from me at my baby shower. She looked at my stomach and whispered, "Emma, please don't make this harder for both babies." Both babies. She meant my son and the child she claimed she was carrying for my husband. What none of them knew was that 9 days earlier, I had found something in her desk that proved she wasn't planning to share my life. She was preparing to replace me in it. My name is Emma Lawson. At the time, I was 35 years old, 34 weeks pregnant, and married to Caleb Lawson, the man I had loved for almost 13 years. Our son's name was going to be Noah. Caleb did not know that yet. I had kept the name to myself because by then almost everything else in our marriage had been taken, repeated, handed over, or turned into something I was expected to share. The nursery was the one room that still felt entirely mine. It was small at the back of our house in Cary, North Carolina, with one window overlooking an old maple tree. I had painted the walls a soft blue-gray called Quiet Harbor. The crib came from a neighborhood resale group. One side had been scratched by somebody's dog, and 2 of the slats were loose. I spent 3 weekends repairing it in the garage, while Caleb reminded me that we could afford a new one. He never understood why I wanted that crib. My grandmother had taught me how to restore furniture when I was 12. She used to say that repairing something forced you to learn where it was weak and where it was still worth saving. For years, I believed the same thing about marriage. That Friday night, I was sitting in the nursery painting wooden letters for Noah's name. The N was balanced on my stomach. A mug of peppermint tea sat beside me. My lower back hurt, and one of Noah's heels kept pressing beneath my ribs. Caleb had texted at 8:16, "Running late. Problem at a job site. Don't wait up." No heart. No love you. No question about whether Noah had been moving that evening. 3 months earlier, I might have answered with concern. That night, I put the phone face down. The call came at 11:42. The number was local but unfamiliar. "Mrs. Emma Lawson." "Yes. This is Officer Benjamin Cole with the Cary Police Department. I'm sorry to contact you this late." My hand stopped over the wooden N. "There was a residential fire at a rental property on Willow Lane. Your husband, Caleb Lawson, was inside. He has been taken to St. Anne's Hospital for smoke inhalation and a minor burn." For 1 second, every other fear disappeared. "Is he alive?" "Yes, ma'am. He's stable and conscious." My hand moved to my stomach. Noah kicked once. "Was anyone else hurt?" The officer paused. "There was a woman inside with him. Her name is Tessa Morgan. She was also transported to St. Anne's." I looked toward the empty hook behind the nursery door. My cream cardigan had hung there until 4 days earlier. Tessa had borrowed it after my baby shower because the evening had turned cold. She had hugged me and said, "I'll bring it back after I have it cleaned." "Mrs. Lawson, I'm here. Hospital staff asked us to notify Mr. Lawson's emergency contact." "Did they say why he was at the house?" "No, ma'am. A neighbor reported smoke coming from a bedroom window. The fire department is still assessing the property." "Was the house badly damaged?" "The fire was contained to one bedroom and part of the hallway. The back bedroom." I had never entered 214 Willow Lane, but I knew it had a queen-size bed with a dark green quilt. I knew the kitchen table had 4 chairs, even though only 2 people were using it. I knew Caleb had paid the first month's rent with our company debit card. I knew he kept a navy duffel bag in the bedroom closet. I knew because for almost 2 months I had been quietly learning the shape of the life my husband believed I could not see. "Thank you, Officer Cole. Do you have someone who can drive you?" "Considering your pregnancy, I'll arrange it. If you begin feeling unwell, call emergency services." "I understand." After the call ended, I stayed on the nursery floor. The blue paint on the wooden N was still wet. The refrigerator hummed downstairs. Heat moved through the vents. Caleb's work boots remained beside the back door. Ordinary things. That was what made betrayal so disorienting. A marriage could be dying inside a house that still needed milk laundry detergent and a new air filter. I placed the wooden letter on an old towel. Then I opened the top drawer of the nursery dresser. Beneath folded onesies was a canvas tote I had packed 9 days earlier. Inside were 2 bottles of water, my prenatal records, a phone charger, a small pharmacy bag, 3 photographs, and an old phone containing a voicemail from Diane Lawson Caleb's mother. I had listened to only the first 14 seconds. That had been enough to make me move out. I had not been able to hear the rest. I put on maternity jeans, a black sweater, and flat boots. Then I called Rachel Kim. She answered on the 4th ring. Emma, it happened. Her voice changed immediately. Where? St. Anne's. I'm coming. I need to drive myself. You're 34 weeks pregnant. I know. Let me drive. I may not be leaving from the same place you are. I need my car. She was quiet for a moment. All right, I'll follow you. That was one reason I trusted Rachel. She knew the difference between challenging me and making sure I wasn't alone. I walked downstairs. Our wedding photograph hung in the hallway. Caleb and I were 24 and 22, standing beneath white lights in my aunt's backyard. His hand rested around my waist, my head tilted toward his shoulder. We looked like 2 people who believed choosing each other once would be enough. In the kitchen, a photograph from the previous Thanksgiving was attached to the refrigerator. Caleb stood in the center beside Diane. His sister Brooke leaned against his other shoulder. Tessa stood next to Brooke, smiling as though she had belonged there for years. I had been on the far end holding a bowl of mashed potatoes. When Diane posted the photograph online, she cropped me out. At the time, she claimed the picture fit better that way. Tessa commented, "My favorite family." Diane replied with 3 red hearts. Caleb liked both comments. When I asked why he had not noticed I was missing, he sighed. Emma, it's a social media picture. Stop searching for reasons to feel excluded. By then, Tessa had already been sleeping with him. Maybe longer than I knew. I picked up my keys. Before leaving, I looked at our kitchen one final time. The grocery list on the counter was in my handwriting. Milk, apples, coffee, prenatal vitamins. I locked the door. Rachel's headlights appeared behind me before I reached the end of our street. The drive to St. Anne's took 19 minutes. Carrie was quiet beneath the streetlights. Restaurants had turned off their signs. Traffic lights changed over empty intersections. Behind rows of dark windows, other families slept inside lives they still trusted. I kept both hands on the wheel. Noah shifted low in my abdomen. "Stay with me," I whispered. I wasn't sure whether I was speaking to him or myself. As I drove, I thought about the first time Tessa Morgan sat at Diane's dining table. It had been 18 months earlier. She arrived carrying a pecan pie and apologizing for being late. Tessa was 31, with shoulder-length brown hair, green eyes, and a way of making attention look accidental. Brooke had known her since community college. "Tessa's between jobs," Brooke said before everyone had finished sitting down. "Her former boss was awful." Tessa smiled modestly. "I think we just had different expectations." Diane covered Tessa's hand with hers. "You're too kind. Some people take advantage of women who work hard." I noticed the irony later. At the time, I liked her. That matters. There was no warning when she entered the room. No cold feeling in my stomach. She asked thoughtful questions and remembered the answers. She helped Diane clear the table without being asked. When Brooke complained about her ex-husband, Tessa listened without turning the conversation toward herself. When she learned I worked with Caleb at Lawson Home and Floor, she looked genuinely interested. "You design the kitchens on the website. Most of them. They're beautiful." "Thank you." Caleb told me he handled the creative side. The table went quiet for half a second. Caleb smiled. "I said we handled it." Tessa laughed. "No, you said you spent half your life choosing cabinet colors." "It was a quick conversation," Caleb said. Diane waved one hand. "You two are a team." Does it matter who receives credit for every little thing? It mattered. But I had spent years being told that caring about recognition made me insecure. Lawson Home and Floor had begun in the back of a rented warehouse with 1 truck, 2 installers, and a folding table I used as a desk. Caleb understood construction. He could enter a damaged room and identify what was behind the walls before touching anything. I understood families. I could sit with a couple who had saved for 10 years, listen to them argue about countertops, and realize the wife was not upset about quartz. She was afraid they were spending the emergency savings her mother taught her never to touch. I designed kitchens around the way people lived. I built our website. I photographed completed projects. I answered customer messages after midnight. I handled invoices when Caleb forgot them in his truck. During the early winters, when renovation work slowed, I learned enough bookkeeping to keep the company alive. Customers praised Caleb's craftsmanship. Many hired us because I made them feel heard. But the sign over the warehouse said Lawson Home and Floor. Caleb's family treated that as proof that it belonged to him. Diane called it Caleb's company. Brooke told people her brother had built it alone. Whenever I corrected them, Caleb would squeeze my knee beneath the table. "You know what you contributed," he would say later. "Why do you need everyone else to say it?" Because silence becomes history when repeated often enough. I did not understand that then. Tessa began working for us 3 weeks after that dinner. Brooke called Caleb directly. She needs something temporary, just scheduling or answering phones. Emma has been saying she's overwhelmed. I had said we needed office help. I had not said the help should be Tessa. Caleb hired her before discussing it with me. When I objected, he looked confused. "You liked her. I met her once. She has office experience. Did you check her references? Brooke has known her for years." "That isn't a reference. Why are you making this difficult?" That question became a door Caleb used whenever I stood between him and something he wanted. "Why are you making this difficult?" Hiring Tessa, loaning Brooke money from our savings, letting Diane choose the restaurant for my birthday, canceling a weekend away because his mother wanted shelves installed in her garage. At first, Tessa was good at her job. Very good. She arrived early, stayed late, and brought coffee for the installers on Monday mornings. She created color-coded schedules. She remembered which clients preferred calls and which wanted text messages. When one of our installers injured his ankle, Tessa arranged meal deliveries for his family. Within 2 months, everyone loved her. Within 3, Diane invited her to every family gathering. Within 4, Caleb had begun discussing our marriage with her. I did not know that yet. The first crack appeared at my 34th birthday dinner. We were seated at a casual Italian restaurant in downtown Cary. Red checkered napkins, garlic bread in metal baskets, family photographs covering the walls. I was 6 weeks pregnant. After 5 years of trying 2 early miscarriages and 1 year when I could not walk past the baby aisle at Target without pretending I had forgotten something, I wanted to keep the pregnancy private until my first ultrasound. Only Caleb knew. Halfway through dinner, Diane raised her wine glass. To Caleb, she said, for landing the Willow Creek remodel. Everyone lifted their glasses. Willow Creek was our largest residential project. I had spent 3 months designing the proposal. I had met with the homeowners 7 times. The wife had called me personally to say my layout was the reason they hired us. Caleb attended the final meeting. Tessa touched her glass to his. "Knew you'd get it." I waited for him to say we had gotten it. He smiled. "Couldn't have done it without the team." The team, a word broad enough to include everyone and credit no one. I placed my water down. Diane looked at me. "You're quiet tonight." "I'm tired." Tessa studied my face. "You've been tired a lot." Something in her tone made me look at Caleb. He began cutting his chicken. Brooke glanced between us. Then Tessa smiled. "Sorry, that sounded nosy." "It was," I said. The table fell silent. Diane's mouth tightened. Caleb leaned closer. "Emma." One word. My name used as a warning. I stood and went to the restroom. Inside a stall, my hands began to shake. I told myself it was hormones. That explanation would be used against me so often over the next 8 months that I eventually stopped using it against myself. When I returned, Tessa was sitting in my chair. She had moved closer to Caleb to show him something on her phone. My purse had been placed on the floor. "Oh," she said, standing quickly. I was showing him a cabinet finish. At my birthday dinner, Brooke laughed. "You work together. What do you expect them to discuss?" "Them, not us." In the parking lot, Caleb accused me of embarrassing Tessa. It was my birthday. "You were rude." She sat in my chair. "She moved when you came back. You told her I was pregnant." His face changed, only slightly. "But I saw it." "I didn't." "She knew I'd been tired." "Everyone knows you've been tired." She looked at me like she knew something else. "You're being paranoid." It was the first time he used that word. 2 weeks later, I found a gift bag on my desk. Inside was a pair of tiny white socks and a card from Tessa. "For the little secret. I'm so happy for both of you." I carried it into Caleb's office. "You told her." He looked toward the door. "Keep your voice down." "Why?" "Because we haven't announced it. I needed someone to talk to." "You have me." You've been anxious about everything. I didn't want to add pressure. So you discussed my pregnancy with an employee. She's a friend. Who's? He looked at me for a moment, then said maybe she's easier to talk to because she doesn't turn every conversation into a trial. I went home early. That evening, he brought grocery store flowers. The discount sticker was still on the plastic. He apologized for his tone, not for telling Tessa. I accepted because I was pregnant, exhausted, and still attached to the belief that marriage meant repairing every crack before anyone else saw it. Tessa became more involved as my pregnancy progressed. She accompanied Diane to shop for baby clothes. She helped Brooke plan the shower. She suggested nursery colors without being asked. At 20 weeks, Caleb missed the anatomy scan. A supplier had supposedly delivered the wrong flooring to a job site. Rachel came with me instead. We watched Noah stretch one tiny hand across the screen. I cried. Rachel cried too. The technician printed 4 pictures. That evening, Caleb looked at them for less than a minute. Everything normal. Yes, good. He kissed my forehead and went to shower. The following morning, I found Tessa beside my desk holding one of the ultrasound pictures. My ultrasound picture. Look at his little nose, she said. Something cold moved through my chest. Where did you get that? She looked surprised. Caleb showed me. That picture was on our kitchen counter. He brought it in. No, he didn't. She placed it down carefully. Emma, I don't want to get caught in the middle of whatever is happening between you two. You are holding a picture of my son that was inside my house. Caleb gave it to me. I walked into his office. The picture was not in his hand, his wallet, or his work bag. He insisted he must have picked it up without remembering. You've been forgetful too, he said. Pregnancy brain, remember. That night I checked our front door camera. We had installed it after packages disappeared from our neighborhood. At 2:17, the previous afternoon while I was at the doctor, and Caleb was supposedly handling the supplier problem, Tessa entered my house using a key. She remained inside for 23 minutes. When she left, she carried nothing visible. I watched the video 3 times. Then I called Caleb. Did you give Tessa a key? No. She entered our house yesterday. A pause. Mom might have given it to her. Why would your mother give Tessa a key to our house? Because you're pregnant. In case something happens. Without asking me. I don't know, Emma. Call Mom. Diane answered on the second ring. Yes, I gave her the spare. She lives 5 minutes away. This is my home. It's Caleb's home, too. That doesn't give you permission. You've been emotional lately. I wanted someone reliable nearby. She entered while I was at the doctor. She was picking up the shower invitations. The invitations were at your house. Diane went quiet. Then her tone hardened. I don't appreciate being interrogated after everything I have done for you. You gave another woman a key to my house. She is not another woman. She is practically family. Practically family. I would remember those words in the hospital. After the call, I asked Caleb to change the locks. He refused. You're blowing this up. I hired a locksmith myself. Caleb came home while the man was finishing and stood in the driveway with his hands on his hips. You changed our locks without discussing it. I discussed it. You said no. Do you understand how controlling that is? For years, Caleb had been able to turn a boundary into an accusation before I finished explaining why I needed it. That evening was the first time I recognized the pattern while it was happening. The new key is on the counter, I said. Your mother and Tessa will not receive copies. He slept in the guest room. The next morning, Tessa called in sick. Diane texted, you owe her an apology. She cried all night. No one asked whether I had cried. That was when Rachel stopped speaking gently about the situation. We met at a coffee shop near the dental office where she worked. Her 4-year-old daughter, Mina, sat beside her eating pieces of a blueberry muffin while watching a cartoon without sound. You need to protect yourself, Rachel said. I don't know what is happening. You know enough. I have a doorbell video. You have a woman entering your house taking your ultrasound and lying to your face. Caleb says, Caleb needs you to doubt yourself. Rachel lowered her voice so Mina could not hear. My ex-fiancé used to hide bills in his car and then tell me I had lost them. He would move my keys and laugh when I couldn't find them. By the end, I was writing down where I placed everything because I thought something was wrong with my memory. I knew parts of Rachel's previous relationship, not that part. He told everyone I was scattered, she continued. When I finally found the unpaid bills, I still asked him whether there was a reasonable explanation. Was there? There was an explanation. It wasn't reasonable. Mina held up her empty paper wrapper. More muffin. Rachel handed her another piece, then looked back at me. You don't need courtroom proof to admit your home no longer feels safe. I'm pregnant. Our insurance comes through the business. The house payment comes from the same accounts. If I confront Caleb and he closes ranks with his family, he may do that anyway. I know. The words felt heavy. Rachel leaned across the table. I'm not telling you to leave today. I'm telling you to prepare for the possibility that you may need to. That afternoon, I opened an account in my own name at a bank Caleb had never used. I transferred only money from 2 freelance design projects he had dismissed as hobbies. I copied my medical records. I photographed the rooms of our house and the equipment at the warehouse, not because I wanted a complicated financial battle, but because I was beginning to understand how easily a person could be erased when everyone around her agreed to forget what she had contributed. I changed my personal passwords. I took my grandmother's jewelry to Rachel's house. I did not move joint savings. I did not empty company accounts. I simply made sure I would not need Caleb's permission to buy food if he decided I no longer belonged in the life I had helped build. Then I paid attention. Caleb began carrying his phone into the shower. He changed a passcode he had used for 9 years. When a message arrived, he turned the screen away. The smell came next. Tessa wore a citrus hand lotion from a small shop in downtown Raleigh. She kept a tube beside her keyboard and used it constantly. One evening, Caleb came home smelling faintly of oranges and vanilla. I noticed while hugging him. He stepped back before I did. Long day, he said. Were you with Tessa? She works with me. That wasn't my question. His face closed. I'm not doing this. He walked upstairs. At the next Sunday dinner, Tessa wore a gold bracelet I recognized. I had bought it for Caleb on our 10th anniversary. The jeweler had mistakenly sized it too small. Caleb said he had taken it back to be adjusted. Tessa touched the links when she noticed me looking. Oh, a friend gave it to me. Caleb stared at his plate. On the drive home, I asked him, Is that the bracelet I gave you? It didn't fit. You said it was at the jeweler. I forgot. No, you lied. His grip tightened on the steering wheel. It was sitting in my desk. She liked it. You gave something from our anniversary to the woman you discuss our marriage with. It is a bracelet, Emma. It is not about the bracelet. What is it about then? You keep giving her pieces of our life and telling me they are only objects. He pulled into our driveway. You have become impossible since getting pregnant. He got out before I could answer. I remained inside the car with both hands resting on Noah. The porch light caught Caleb as he walked into our house without waiting for me. Over the next 6 weeks, Tessa appeared everywhere I was slowly disappearing. She sat in my usual chair at Diane's Sunday dinner. Brooke removed me from the family group chat after I objected to Tessa helping plan the delivery room schedule. Diane posted a photograph from dinner captioned, "Family is everything." Tessa stood beside Caleb. When a client asked for me at the office, Tessa told her I was reducing my workload and that Caleb would handle the creative decisions. Each incident was small enough to explain away. Together, they formed a life in which everyone had begun practicing my absence. The receipt for Willow Lane fell from Caleb's work jacket on a Tuesday morning. Willow Lane Property Management. Security deposit. 3-month furnished rental. Authorized occupant Tessa Morgan. Emergency contact Caleb Lawson. The payment had been made with the company card. I sat at the kitchen table until my legs became numb. The receipt was 11 days old. Caleb had told me that morning he was meeting a flooring supplier. I photographed it and returned it to his pocket. The following afternoon, I drove past 214 Willow Lane. It was a tan bungalow in a neighborhood of older rentals and young families. A plastic tricycle lay on the lawn next door. Wind chimes hung from the porch. A grocery store sat 3 blocks away. It looked like the kind of place people rented when they were beginning again, or pretending to. Tessa's car was in the driveway. Caleb's truck was parked behind it. I did not stop. I drove to Rachel's house. Daniel, her husband, opened the door wearing hospital scrubs. He worked overnight maintenance at WakeMed and had slept less than 3 hours. He looked at my face and stepped aside. Rachel came from the kitchen carrying Mina. I found the house, I said. Daniel glanced at Rachel. Do you need me to take Mina upstairs? Rachel nodded. He did not ask for details. He simply carried their daughter away so I could fall apart without a child watching. I placed the photograph of the receipt on the kitchen table. Rachel studied it. What do you want to do? I want the truth. You have a lot of it. I need to see. Emma, I need to see it once, then no one can make me explain it away. That night, I drove back to Willow Lane. I parked across the street beneath a tree. Through the living room window, I saw Caleb standing beside Tessa. She placed one hand against his chest. He bent and kissed her. It was not hurried. It was not desperate. It was familiar. The kiss of two people who had done it enough times to stop worrying about being caught. I drove away before they could see me. I pulled into the empty parking lot of a 24-hour pharmacy and cried until my chest hurt. Then I opened my phone. I typed, "Please come home. We can still fix this." My thumb hovered over the send button. For almost 13 years, Caleb had been the first person I called when something hurt. My body had not yet learned that he had become the person causing it. I almost sent the message. Then my phone displayed a new social media notification. Brooke had posted a photograph from Diane's dining room. Sunday supper with my people. Caleb sat at the head of the table. Tessa sat in my chair. The picture had been taken earlier that evening before they went to Willow Lane. Everyone knew where he was. Everyone except me. I deleted the message. Then I called Rachel. He kissed her. "I'm coming." "No. Daniel has work. Mina is asleep." "Emma, I just need you to say it." "Say what?" "That I saw what I saw." Rachel was silent for a moment. Then she said clearly, "Caleb is having an affair with Tessa." The words entered the car. They hurt. They also ended something. I had not realized how much energy I was spending keeping the truth unnamed. After that night, I stopped trying to save the version of Caleb who existed only when I protected him from the consequences of being himself. I still went to work. I answered clients. I attended prenatal appointments. I cooked simple meals. But I stopped asking where he had been. I stopped reminding him about medical visits. I stopped filling the silence when he arrived home late. My calm frightened him more than my anger ever had. 3 days later, he brought takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant. I thought we could eat together. I sat across from him. He talked about a difficult customer and a delayed cabinet shipment. Then he asked, "Have you chosen a name?" "Yes." "What is it?" "I'm not ready to tell you." His expression hardened. "I'm his father." "I know. So why are you keeping it from me?" "Because I want one thing that doesn't reach Tessa before it belongs to me." His fork stopped. For a second I thought he might confess. Instead he stood and threw his food away. "You're sick," he said. The next morning, Tessa placed a blueberry muffin on my desk. "No hard feelings." "About what?" "I know things have been tense. Between you and me, between everyone." She kept her voice soft. That was one of her skills. She could say cruel things in a tone that made the other person seem unreasonable for reacting. "Maybe Caleb needs people around him who don't make him feel guilty for breathing," she said. "Is that what he tells you?" "He talks to me." The satisfaction in those words was small but unmistakable. I picked up the muffin and dropped it in the trash. "You entered my house. You took my son's ultrasound. You wore a bracelet from my marriage. Do not stand inside the business I helped build and warn me about pushing people away." Her face went still. "You should rest, Emma. You look exhausted." That afternoon, I told Caleb I would work from home until Noah arrived. He did not object. 2 days later, my doctor called about my blood results. My iron level had dropped again. Dr. Anita Patel had been concerned since the beginning of my third trimester. I ate well. I took the prenatal supplement she recommended every morning. I had added more iron-rich food. Still, the numbers were moving in the wrong direction. "Are you taking the prenatal tablets daily?" she asked. "Every morning." "Could you bring the bottle to your appointment Monday?" After the call, I stood in our bathroom holding the plastic container. The tablets were pale pink and oval. I had been taking them for almost 4 months. I opened a sealed replacement bottle from the hall closet. The tablets inside were slightly darker. Their edges were smoother. Each carried a clear manufacturer's imprint. The tablets in the open bottle had no imprint. My hands became cold. At my appointment, Dr. Patel examined both bottles. "These don't appear to be the same medication." "What does that mean?" "I don't want to frighten you before we know." "Where did you purchase them?" "The same pharmacy." "Was the seal intact when you opened the older bottle?" I tried to remember. The bottle had been sitting on the kitchen counter after my baby shower. Diane and Tessa had been inside the house organizing gifts. I remembered picking it up. I did not remember breaking the seal. "I don't know." Dr. Patel placed several tablets in a specimen bag. "For now, use only the new bottle. We'll contact the pharmacy and repeat your blood work." "Could this hurt Noah?" She softened. "His growth looks appropriate. His heart rate is strong. Your iron is low, but we found it. Let us identify the tablets before assuming the worst. I kept myself together until I reached Rachel's car. She had taken a long lunch break to drive me because Daniel was sleeping after his overnight shift. When I told her, she gripped the steering wheel. Call the police. We don't know what they are. We know what they aren't. I need the pharmacy to confirm it. Emma, this stopped being only an affair the moment someone touched medicine intended for your baby. The pharmacist called the next afternoon. The tablets were inexpensive calcium supplements sold online in bulk and coated pale pink. They were not toxic. Medically, that distinction mattered. Emotionally, it did not. Someone had removed the vitamins intended to support my pregnancy and replaced them with pills designed to look similar enough that I would continue swallowing them without question. For months, I stayed at Rachel and Daniel's house that night. Daniel gave up their bedroom and slept on the couch before another 12-hour shift. Mina climbed onto the guest bed beside me and placed a stuffed rabbit near my stomach. For the baby, she said. That small act of uncomplicated kindness broke me more completely than anything Caleb had said. The following afternoon, I returned to the office after closing to collect client files and the external drive containing my design work. Rachel came with me. I did not intend to search Tessa's desk. The top drawer was already partly open. Inside, beside a set of paint samples, I saw 3 unopened packages of pale pink calcium tablets. Rachel stopped behind me. Don't touch them. I photographed the packages where they were. Then I noticed a folder beneath them. Willow. Inside were furniture receipts, a printed grocery list, a photograph of an ultrasound, and handwritten notes. The ultrasound had no patient name. A search on Rachel's phone found the same image on a parenting blog published 6 years earlier. Tessa had flipped it and cropped the edges. Below it was a short list written in blue ink. Tell Diane after shower. Move before Thanksgiving. Brooke handles office. Emma rests with Rachel after delivery. I read the final line 3 times. Emma rests with Rachel after delivery. Not asks Rachel. Not decides for herself. They had written my removal from my own home as though it were a helpful arrangement. Rachel looked over my shoulder. They are planning your life like a work schedule. I photographed everything. Then I called Officer Cole. He met us at the office and took a report. He did not make dramatic promises. He said the tablet's messages, building access, and medical records would need to be reviewed. He advised me not to confront Tessa alone. When I asked whether Caleb could have known, he said quietly, I can't answer that for you. Neither could I. The next morning, Tessa texted, I know you went through my desk. I did not reply. Another message came. Those tablets aren't what you think. Then, Caleb loves me. You need to accept that without making everyone hate us. And finally, you should focus on keeping your baby healthy instead of stalking me. I saved every message. Then I wrote, do not contact me again. She did not respond. Caleb called 6 times that afternoon. I did not answer. Diane left 3 voicemails. The first accused me of stealing private belongings from Tessa's desk. The second said I was destroying Caleb's reputation. The third began with my name, but the words that followed were not meant for me. Brooke, your brother is falling apart, and Emma is acting like she owns everything. Once Noah is born, she'll be too overwhelmed to keep fighting. My finger hit pause. I could not hear the rest. The sentence repeated inside my head. Once Noah is born, she'll be too overwhelmed to keep fighting. I sat on Rachel's sofa holding the phone. Rachel was beside me. Daniel stood in the kitchen doorway preparing coffee before work. Play the rest, Rachel said gently. I can't. You don't have to tonight. What if it gets worse? It probably does. That honesty was why I trusted her. I placed the phone in the canvas tote without listening further. Then I said I'm leaving the house. Daniel put down his coffee. I can borrow my brother's truck tomorrow. You're working tonight. I'll sleep later. You've already helped enough. He glanced toward Mina's bedroom. Emma. When Rachel left her ex, she slept on my sister's floor for 2 months. People helped us before we could repay them. Let us help you. The following day, I rented a 2-bedroom townhouse 10 minutes from Rachel's home. It was smaller than the house in Cary. The kitchen had plain white cabinets. The upstairs carpet smelled of cleaning soap. The second bedroom had one window overlooking a row of crepe myrtles. I stood in the empty room and imagined Noah's crib beside the wall. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe without feeling watched. Rachel and Daniel helped me move the restored crib clothing, my grandmother's sewing box, the wooden nursery letters, and the rocking chair. We worked while Caleb believed I was resting at their house. I left the dining table Diane had chosen. I left the couch where Tessa had sat beside my husband during family movie nights while I cleaned the kitchen. I left the wedding photographs. I took only what belonged to me and what no one needed. Caleb returned home that evening and discovered half my closet empty. He called. "You moved out?" "I moved somewhere safe. Safe from me. From the situation you created. Tell me where you are." "No. You can't keep my child from me." "I have not said that. You're behaving like I'm dangerous." "Did you know Tessa had access to my vitamins?" "No." "Did you know she had a fake ultrasound?" The silence told me he knew about the claimed pregnancy. "What fake ultrasound?" "The one she showed you." His breathing changed. "She told me 3 weeks ago." "Did she say the baby was yours?" "Yes." "Did you believe her?" "Yes." I sat on the edge of the townhouse bed. "What were you planning to do?" "I didn't know." "You rented a house. She needed somewhere to stay. You bought furniture. I was trying to help. You wrote me out of the plan." "I didn't write that list." "But you were going to leave." Another silence. "Caleb, I thought I had to." "For whom?" "For the baby. You already had a baby." "That isn't fair." "No, it's painful. Those are not the same thing." His voice rose. "I was going to take care of Noah." From Willow Lane, I would have been involved. After I gave birth and conveniently rested at Rachel's house, I never agreed to that. You knew your mother was planning around me. I didn't know all the details. You never needed details when the result benefited you. I was confused. No, you were comfortable. What does that mean? You wanted me to remain your wife while Tessa made you feel admired. You wanted the company, the house, the child we planned, and the woman who told you every selfish choice meant you were finally choosing happiness. That is not what happened. Then explain what happened. He was silent. I continued. You came home to me while paying rent on a house for her. I didn't know how to tell you. You knew how to lie. I never wanted anyone hurt. You just wanted things that could only exist if someone was. His voice broke. I'm sorry. I closed my eyes. The old instinct rose inside me. Ask him to come home. Tell him to choose you. Tell him you can fix this. For almost 13 years, love had trained me to move toward Caleb when he sounded hurt. I opened my mouth. Then Noah shifted beneath my ribs. I remembered the pale pink tablets, the line in Tessa's handwriting. Emma rests with Rachel after delivery. Do not come looking for me, I said. Emma, please. We will communicate about Noah through text. You're ending our marriage. You ended it gradually. I'm the first person willing to say it aloud. I hung up. For the next week, I slept better than I had in months. Not perfectly. Pregnancy made perfect sleep impossible. But I no longer woke listening for Caleb's truck. I no longer checked whether his phone was face down. I no longer searched his face for traces of another woman's conversation. The townhouse was quiet in a way our house had never been. It did not ask me to doubt what I could see. I painted Noah's wooden letters white and blue. N-O-A. The H remained unfinished. Caleb sent messages. I'm sorry. I'll do counseling. I removed Tessa from the office schedule. Please let me attend the next appointment. Mom didn't mean what she said. I answered only practical questions. Then 3 nights before the fire, he called from an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it. Something made me answer. Emma. His voice sounded raw. What happened? Tessa admitted the ultrasound wasn't hers. I closed my eyes. She said she lost the original. She said she was afraid I would accuse her of lying if she didn't have a picture. Do you still believe she's pregnant? I don't know. Did you attend an appointment? No. Did you speak to a doctor? No. Then you don't know. He breathed into the phone. I ended it. When? Tonight. Because she lied to you. Because everything is a lie. I wanted to ask whether that included what he had told himself about me. Instead, I said nothing. Can I come home? He asked. The word home struck harder than I expected. For 1 second, I imagined Caleb walking into the townhouse. I imagined him kneeling beside my chair, placing his hand on my stomach and telling me he had lost his mind. I imagined us returning to the house in Carrie before Noah's birth. I imagined Diane apologizing. I imagined every broken thing repairing itself because I wanted it badly enough. My hand moved towards the front door lock. Then I saw the pharmacy bag on the kitchen counter. I remembered that Caleb had ignored me when Tessa entered our house. He had not changed the locks. He had defended the person who had access to my medicine. You can't come here, I said. I don't want Tessa. This is not about whether you still want her. I want my family. You wanted us available while you tested another life. I made a mistake. You made months of decisions. He began crying, quietly. I nearly said his name. I nearly told him where I lived. Instead, I pressed my palm to Noah and waited for the urge to rescue Caleb from himself to pass. I hope you continue counseling, I said. Then I ended the call. The following Friday, Caleb went to Willow Lane to collect his clothes and several company folders. Tessa arrived while he was there. He later claimed he had not expected her. I never learned whether that was true. By then, truth from Caleb usually arrived damaged. They argued in the back bedroom. Tessa accused him of abandoning her because Emma had turned everyone against them. Caleb told her the police had asked about the tablets. She denied touching my medication. He asked why she had packages of calcium pills in her desk. She said they were for her own pregnancy. Then he asked why she had used another woman's ultrasound. According to the neighbor who heard them through the open window, Tessa began shouting. A ceramic lamp struck the wall. No one could say whether she threw it at Caleb or only across the room. The lamp knocked over a portable space heater. A laundry basket caught fire. Smoke filled the bedroom before either of them understood how fast the flames had spread. A neighbor called 911. Firefighters pulled Caleb through the front door. Tessa was found coughing in the hallway beside an open suitcase. Inside the suitcase was a silicone pregnancy pad. That was why at 11:42, Officer Cole called me. Rachel followed me into the hospital parking garage. She parked beside my car and reached my door before I unfastened the seatbelt. I'm coming inside. Yes. You don't have to see him. Yes, I do. Why? Because this is the first room they didn't arrange before I arrived. Rachel watched me for a moment. Then she nodded. The automatic hospital doors opened into bright light and the smell of antiseptic coffee and exhausted people. At reception, I gave Caleb's name. He's in observation room 12, the woman said. A nurse will speak with you. Is Tessa Morgan here? I can't provide information about another patient. I understand. Rachel and I sat beneath a television showing a late-night cooking program with no sound. Across the waiting room, a father held a sleeping child against his chest. An older woman prayed quietly. A college-aged man pressed an ice pack to his face. Everyone carried a private emergency. Mine had taken months to become visible. Nurse Elena Ruiz came for us. She was in her 40s with silver threads in her dark hair and a calmness that did not feel rehearsed. Mr. Lawson has mild smoke inhalation and a superficial burn to his left hand, she said. He is stable. The medication may make him tired. Is he conscious? He has been drifting in and out. Can I see him? Yes, one visitor at a time. Rachel squeezed my hand. I'll wait here. Nurse Ruiz led me through 2 secured doors. As we approached the observation rooms, I heard Diane's voice. I am his mother. You cannot leave me standing in a hallway. She wore a long tan coat over pajamas. Her hair was unbrushed. Brooke stood beside her in leggings and an oversized sweatshirt. They both turned when they saw me. Diane's fear changed quickly into anger. You knew. The police called me. Why didn't you call us? I was driving. You knew where he was. It was not a question. Yes. Brooke crossed her arms. Were you following him? No. How else would you know about Willow Lane? Your brother used the company card. Diane stepped closer. This is not the time. That sentence had governed the Lawson family for years. Whenever Caleb hurt me, it was not the time. Not at Christmas. Not during Brooke's divorce. Not while Diane's blood pressure was high. Not before a large job. Not during my pregnancy. There was always an event more important than my pain. When is the time, I asked? Caleb nearly died. And he was found in a house he rented for Tessa. She was collecting her belongings. Did Caleb tell you that? Brooke did. I looked at Brooke. She looked away. Nurse Ruiz spoke. Mrs. Lawson, your husband is awake. Diane immediately said I should go in first. He requested his wife. The title did not restore anything, but for once it gave me a place Diane could not take. Before opening the door, Nurse Ruiz lowered her voice. The other patient involved in the fire is in the room next door. The walls are thin. Police have asked that the patients remain separated. Can she hear us? Possibly. Good. Nurse Ruiz studied me. Are you feeling all right? I'm 8 months pregnant and my husband was found inside a burning house with his mistress. That was not the answer I expected. It is the honest one. If anything changes physically, press the call button. She opened the door. Caleb lay propped against white pillows. A clear tube ran beneath his nose. His left hand was wrapped in gauze. Faint soot remained near his hairline. The hospital gown made him look smaller, less like the man who had filled rooms with certainty, more like a person whose choices had finally become heavier than his explanations. His eyes opened. Emma. He tried to sit straighter. Pain crossed his face. Don't. Are you okay? The question almost made me angry. Instead, I answered honestly. No. His eyes dropped toward my stomach. Is Noah? He stopped. You know his name. I heard you say it once in the nursery. I remembered whispering to Noah while Caleb passed the doorway. He had known. He had simply never told me. He's fine, I said. My doctor is monitoring him. I didn't know about the vitamins. I believe you. His eyes filled with relief. I did not let him keep it. But you made it possible for her to enter our home. I didn't give her the key. You defended her after she used it. I thought you were overreacting. You needed me to be overreacting. Otherwise, you would have had to protect me from someone you wanted access to. He closed his eyes. She said she was pregnant. I know. I believed her. I know. I thought I had to take responsibility. You already had responsibilities. He looked toward my stomach. I never planned to abandon Noah. You planned to leave before he was born. He did not answer. Caleb. His voice was barely audible. Yes. That single word changed the room. No confusion. No excuse. He had planned to leave his pregnant wife before the birth of their son. When were you going to tell me? After the shower. You let me stand in a room opening gifts while your mother and sister helped another woman plan where I would go afterward. I didn't know about that list. You knew enough. I didn't know about the pills. This is not only about the pills. He looked at me helplessly. I don't know what to say. For once, don't search for the right sentence. Tell me what you did. He swallowed. I lied to you. And I rented the house. And I told Tessa I would leave. And his face tightened. I let Mom think you were unstable because it made what I was doing sound less cruel. That admission reached deeper than I expected. I had known it. Hearing him say it was different. He continued. I liked the way Tessa listened to me. I liked that she acted as if everything I did was impressive. I almost laughed, but no sound came. I spent 13 years helping you become impressive. I know. No, you know now. He looked down. I told myself you didn't appreciate me. And when did you stop appreciating me? I don't know. Yes, you do. He remained silent for a long time. Then he said, when people started treating the company like it was mine, I liked it. There it was. Not a perfect apology. Not a speech. A small ugly truth. I felt tears rise. I turned toward the wall so he would not mistake them for an invitation. Emma. His unbandaged hand moved across the blanket. For 1 second, I nearly took it. I remembered holding that hand after my miscarriages. I remembered Caleb sitting beside me on the bathroom floor. Both of us young and frightened, promising that whatever happened, we would face it together. My fingers moved toward him. Then I saw the pharmacy bag inside my tote. I remembered swallowing pink tablets every morning while Caleb told his family I was becoming unstable. I pulled my hand back. He noticed. His face crumpled. I am sorry. I believe you're sorry. Is there any way? No. He closed his eyes. From the next room came the faint scrape of a chair. Tessa was listening. Before either of us spoke again, the door opened. Diane entered without waiting. Brooke followed her. Nurse Ruiz appeared behind them. Only one visitor is allowed. This is a family emergency, Diane said. Yes, I replied, it is. Diane's face was pale. You have had enough time alone with him. The old Emma might have moved aside. I remained where I was. Caleb looked at his mother. Mom, stop. She froze. He had rarely spoken to her that way. Diane turned toward me. You have made your point. I have not started. Brooke's eyes moved toward my canvas tote. What did you bring? Something your mother sent me. Diane's expression changed. What? I took out the old phone. I received a voicemail 3 days ago. I called you several times. This one was intended for Brooke. Diane looked at her daughter. Brooke shook her head. I didn't know. I listened to the first 14 seconds I said. I stopped after your mother said, once Noah is born, she'll be too overwhelmed to keep fighting. Caleb stared at Diane. Mom, Diane lifted her chin. That was taken out of context. I haven't heard the context, I said. None of us have. For the first time, I pressed play and did not stop it. Diane's recorded voice filled the hospital room. Brooke, your brother is falling apart and Emma is acting like she owns everything. Once Noah is born, she'll be too overwhelmed to keep fighting. Make sure the office passwords are changed before she locks everyone out. Brooke covered her mouth. The recording continued. Caleb can stay at Willow with Tessa until the baby comes. After delivery, Emma can recover at Rachel's. She'll need help anyway. Once things settle down, Caleb can move back into the house. Noah needs to be raised in his father's home, not dragged around because Emma is emotional. My chest tightened. I had never heard those words. Neither had Caleb. Diane's recorded voice continued with quiet certainty. And don't worry about Emma's name on anything. She isn't listed as an owner. People already know it is Caleb's business. We just need to keep everything calm until after the birth. The voicemail ended. No one spoke. Diane looked as though she had been struck. Not because she had forgotten the words, because she was hearing how they sounded outside the room where she felt entitled to say them. Caleb stared at his mother. You planned to move her out. I was trying to prevent chaos. You planned where she would live after giving birth. She would have needed support. I was her support, he said. The statement was bitterly ironic. I looked at him. No, you weren't. He lowered his eyes. Brooke found her voice. Mom was scared. Everything at the office was falling apart. The office was not falling apart, I said. You were preparing to remove me from it. You had stopped coming in because my prenatal vitamins had been replaced. We did not know that. You knew Tessa had entered my home. Mom gave her the key, and that made it acceptable. Brooke looked toward Diane. Neither answered. Diane turned on me. You recorded me without permission. You sent the recording to my phone. It was an accident. The truth often arrives that way. Her eyes filled. You are humiliating me while my son is injured. I did not make the recording. I only let everyone hear what you said. I was protecting Caleb. So am I said, resting one hand on Noah. The difference is that I am protecting my son from learning. That family means one person absorbs every injury so everyone else can remain comfortable. Diane's face hardened. You cannot keep Noah from us. I have not said I will. You are acting as though you own him. No. I am acting as though being related to him does not give you permission to disrespect his mother. The room went quiet again. From the other side of the wall, Tessa spoke. Caleb. His entire body tightened. Her voice sounded frightened. Not soft. Not polished. Tell her, Tessa said. Tell her I'm pregnant. Brooke looked at Caleb. Diane's anger disappeared beneath confusion. What? Tessa raised her voice enough to carry through the wall. Tell them we were having a baby too. Caleb closed his eyes. I reached into the canvas tote. This was the third part of the night. The affair was no longer private. The family's plan was no longer deniable. Now Tessa was making her final claim. I placed the printed ultrasound image on Caleb's blanket. This is the picture she showed you. He looked at it. Yes. I placed Rachel's phone beside it, displaying the original parenting blog. The same image. The same curve of the baby's spine. The same date in the corner. Published 6 years earlier by a woman in Colorado. Caleb stared at both images. She said she had cropped hers because she didn't want the clinic identified. Did you attend a medical appointment? No. Did you hear a heartbeat? No. Did you speak to a doctor? No. Through the wall, Tessa said I explained all of that. I turned toward the partition. You explained whatever he needed to hear. I am pregnant. A new voice came from the doorway. Officer Cole. He stood beside Nurse Ruiz, holding a small notebook. He looked at Caleb, then at me. Mrs. Lawson. Officer. He kept his tone neutral. Fire investigators found a silicone pregnancy pad in an open suitcase at the Willow Lane property. Ms. Morgan will have an opportunity to explain why it was there when she is medically able to give a full statement. No one moved. Diane sat heavily in the visitor chair. Brooke stared at the wall. Caleb looked at the ultrasound again, as though staring longer could turn it into something real. Through the partition, Tessa's voice became sharper. That does not prove I'm not pregnant. No, I said. It proves you were willing to perform pregnancy when you needed Caleb to see it. You don't know anything about me. I know you entered my home. Diane gave me permission. You took my ultrasound picture. Caleb gave it to me. I didn't, Caleb said. His voice was quiet. Tessa stopped. Caleb continued. I thought I brought it to work. I didn't. You took it. I was trying to feel close to the baby. You told me Emma had given it to you. I was protecting you from another argument. He stared at the wall. You lied about everything, not about loving you. Caleb laughed once. There was no humor in it. You loved what I could give you. The sentence was not polished. It sounded like a man discovering the truth as he spoke. Tessa's voice trembled. You promised me a future. I lied. Diane covered her mouth. Caleb looked at me. I lied to both of you. I felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. Tessa spoke again. Emma made you miserable. Caleb closed his eyes. For months, that sentence had been his shelter. Now everyone waited to see whether he would step inside it again. He did not. No, he said, I made myself miserable and then I made her pay for it. The room remained silent. I took the pharmacy bag from my tote. 6 pale pink pills rested inside. My doctor confirmed these are calcium tablets, I said. Packages of the same tablets were in your desk. Anyone could have put them there. Your messages arrived before I told anyone what the pills were. I knew you were accusing me. You wrote, those tablets aren't what you think. No response. I continued, you entered my house 3 times before I changed the locks. Diane gave me the key. Did you open my medicine cabinet? Silence. Tessa. Her voice became small. I only wanted you to slow down. The words entered the room so quietly that for a second I thought I had misunderstood. What does that mean? Caleb asked. She was working too much, Tessa said. She was tired. Everyone was worried. You replaced my vitamins. They were not dangerous. My stomach turned. Diane stood. You touched her medication. I wasn't trying to hurt the baby. You removed something her doctor prescribed, Brooke said. Tessa's voice rose. She was never going to step back. She had to control the house, the office, the baby, everything. I gripped the back of the chair. My body began to shake. Not from fear, from the realization that Tessa still believed my presence in my own life was a form of control. You wanted me weak, I said. I wanted Caleb to have room to breathe. By making his pregnant wife sicker, I didn't know her iron would drop. The room went completely still. Tessa had finally said enough. Officer Cole wrote something in his notebook. Caleb's face changed. Not shock, not confusion, something closer to horror. He stared at the wall separating him from the woman he had chosen. You knew she was taking them every morning. Tessa did not answer. You sat at our kitchen table, Caleb continued. You asked about the baby. You touched her stomach. I loved you. That is not an answer. I did it for us. There is no us. Her crying began then. The tears sounded real. Real emotion did not make her honest. Sometimes people cry because consequences hurt. Diane looked at me. For once, she had nothing to say. Brooke sat beside her, pale and silent. Officer Cole spoke carefully. Ms. Morgan, this is not the appropriate place for a full interview. Please do not continue discussing the incident until an officer can speak with you privately. Tessa ignored him. Emma, I turned toward the wall. You think you won? Her voice had lost its softness. What remained was anger. I placed one hand over Noah. No, my voice shook. I did not hide it. I think my son and I survived what you were willing to do. You'll always know Caleb wanted me. I looked at my husband. His face crumpled. Then I answered, and you will always know that even after he chose you, you still had to lie about who you were to make him stay. Silence followed. Not dramatic silence, not the kind created by a clever final line. The silence of people who had reached the end of the available excuses. I gathered the ultrasound print, the phone, and the pharmacy bag. Caleb watched me. Emma. I stopped near the door. I am sorry. I know. Is there anything I can do? Become someone Noah can respect. For you, no. The answer hurt him. It needed to. For him. And because it is right even when no woman rewards you for it. I walked into the hallway. Rachel stood near the nurse's station. The moment she saw me, she came forward. Are you okay? No. It was becoming easier to tell the truth. But I'm finished. Behind us, Officer Cole entered Tessa's room with another officer. No one dragged her through the hallway. There were no dramatic handcuffs beneath flashing lights. She was still a patient. She would be questioned when doctors cleared her. Real consequences often arrive more quietly than stories suggest. Diane followed me out of Caleb's room. Emma, wait. I stopped. She stood several feet away, her tan coat hanging open. I did not know about the pills. I believe you. I would never hurt Noah. You were willing to hurt his mother. I thought I was helping Caleb. You were helping him avoid responsibility. She looked down. I was angry when I left that message. You sounded calm. That landed. I didn't mean you should lose the house. You planned for me to leave it. Temporarily. as if my life were a room you could rearrange. Her eyes filled. I love my son. I loved him too. Then how can you walk away while he is like this? Because love without respect becomes permission. The sentence left me before I could soften it. Diane flinched. I don't want to lose my grandson. Then do not make him responsible for comforting you about what you did to his mother. Will you let me see him? I cannot answer that tonight. You are punishing me. No, I am refusing to promise access before I know whether you understand the boundary. What boundary? That Noah is not a Lawson possession. He is not proof that your family stayed together. He is not a second chance you are entitled to. She began crying. For years, Diane's tears had ended every difficult conversation. Someone apologized. Someone hugged her. Someone agreed the timing had been wrong. I did none of those things. I turned and walked toward the elevator. Inside, my knees began shaking. I pressed one hand against the metal wall. Rachel reached for me. Lean on me. I'm fine. No, you're not. The honesty almost made me laugh. I let my weight shift toward her. For months, I had believed strength meant standing without help. That night, I learned dignity did not require isolation. Sometimes strength was choosing the person whose shoulder was safe. Outside the hospital, cold air struck my face. Rachel and I sat on a concrete bench beneath the covered entrance. Ambulances moved through the circular drive. A nurse crossed the parking lot, carrying a paper cup. Somewhere behind the hospital windows, Caleb lay beside the consequences of his choices. Tessa was answering questions. Diane and Brooke were confronting a family story they could no longer edit. None of it felt triumphant. It felt final. Rachel handed me water. You did everything right, she said. I stayed too long. You were trying to understand. I knew enough months ago. You were carrying a child, a business, in a marriage while an entire family told you your eyes were wrong. I looked at the hospital doors. I kept believing that if I found the perfect sentence, Caleb would remember who I was. Rachel sat quietly for a moment. He remembered, she said. He liked what forgetting allowed him to do. That truth hurt more than any insult Tessa had spoken. It was also the last explanation I needed. I drove to the townhouse shortly after 3 in the morning. Rachel followed me. The nursery was unfinished. Painter's tape remained around the window. The crib mattress leaned against the wall. 3 wooden letters rested on the floor. N-O-A. The H was still inside my canvas tote. I lowered myself into the rocking chair. Rachel stood at the door. Do you want me to stay? No. Are you sure? Yes. I'll keep my phone on. I know. After she left, I sat in the quiet. For the first time that night, I allowed myself to remember Caleb as more than the man in the hospital. I remembered our first apartment in Durham where the radiator clanged all winter. I remembered eating grocery store cake on the floor because we had no table. I remembered Caleb driving 3 hours to help my sister after her car broke down. I remembered my first miscarriage when he sat beside the bathtub and held my hand because neither of us knew what else to do. Those moments had been real. That mattered. But real love in the past did not erase real betrayal in the present. A marriage was not saved by proving it had once been beautiful. I took the wooden H from the tote. A faint streak of blue paint marked one corner where it had touched the unfinished N on the night Officer Cole called. I opened the paint container. Then I finished the final letter beneath the nursery lamp. N-O-A-H. 4 letters. A name that belonged first to the child who would carry it. When I placed the H beside the others, I cried. Not only for the marriage. I cried for the woman cropped out of Thanksgiving who still brought dessert the following Sunday. For the wife who watched another woman wear her anniversary bracelet and allowed herself to be called paranoid. For the pregnant mother who swallowed fake vitamins and believed her exhaustion was a personal failure. For the business partner whose work mattered only when someone else accepted the credit. For the daughter-in-law who kept washing dishes in a family that never planned to hand her a permanent seat. I cried until Noah moved beneath my hand. We're still here, I whispered. The following morning, I called Marcus Green, our senior installer. Marcus had worked with Caleb and me since the company's 2nd year. I will not be returning to Lawson Home and Floor, I told him. He was quiet. Does Caleb know? He will. I'm sorry. Thank you. Emma, I need to tell you something. I waited. 3 clients asked for you this month. Tessa told them you were on medical leave and probably not coming back. My fingers tightened around the phone. How long had she been saying that? At least 4 weeks. Did Caleb know? I don't know. That answer no longer interested me. I may start a small design service after Noah is born, I said. Consultations and layouts, nothing large. Send me the number. You do not have to choose sides. I'm not choosing sides. I know whose drawings keep my crew from removing the wrong wall. I laughed. The sound surprised me. That afternoon, I created a new email address, Harbor Home Design. The name came from the nursery paint, Quiet Harbor. I had chosen that color while trying to create peace inside a house full of secrets. Now I would carry the peace forward and leave the secrets behind. I sent short messages to several former clients explaining that I was stepping away from Lawson Home and Floor and would accept independent design work after maternity leave. Within a day, 5 responded. 4 said some version of the same thing. We thought you were the designer all along. Recognition did not return the years when my work had been minimized. It reminded me that being erased by one family did not mean I was invisible everywhere. Caleb was discharged from the hospital the next afternoon. He went to Diane's house. The Willow Lane property was closed for repairs. Tessa was instructed not to contact me while the investigation continued. I did not follow every development. Officer Cole updated me when necessary. The case moved forward without becoming the center of my life. Caleb and I began communicating through a family mediator. Our first meeting was by video. Caleb sat in his mother's guest room with a plain wall behind him. I want to be at the birth, he said. I'm not comfortable with that. His face tightened. He is my son too. Labor is not a demonstration of your rights. I need people in the room who make me feel safe. I would never physically hurt you. Safety is larger than that. He looked frustrated. So I miss my own child being born because you're angry. The mediator glanced toward him. I felt the old pressure to defend my feelings carefully enough that he would accept them. Instead, I said, that sentence is why you will not be there. He stared at me. I continued. You are still treating access to my body as something I am taking from you. I didn't mean it like that. You rarely do. The effect remains. He ended the meeting angry. 2 days later, he sent an apology. I'm still turning every boundary into punishment. I understand why you do not want me there. I will wait for your call. It was not transformation. It was one correct decision. That mattered more. The following week, Diane appeared at the townhouse. She stood on the small front porch carrying a baby blanket. I had never given her the address. I did not open the door fully. How did you find me? She hesitated. Caleb told me. I closed my eyes. He had broken another boundary because his mother pressured him. Diane spoke quickly. I only wanted to give you this. I told everyone I was not ready. I am Noah's grandmother, and this is my home. I am trying to apologize. You are standing at an address you were not given permission to have. Her face tightened. I'm not dangerous. That is not the point. You make everything sound so harsh. No, I am saying it plainly. She began crying. I have barely slept since the hospital. I am sorry you are hurting. The sentence surprised her. It contained sympathy without surrender. But you need to leave. Emma, please go. I closed the door. Then I called Caleb. Did you give your mother my address? A long pause. She was falling apart. So you gave her access to me. I thought if she apologized, you thought her pain overruled my boundary. I made a mistake. Yes, I'll tell her not to return. You will not visit this weekend. His voice changed. You're keeping Noah from me before he is even born. I am showing you that broken trust has consequences. That isn't fair. The words came automatically. Then he stopped. I'm doing it again, he said. Yes. He exhaled. I understand. He did not argue further. That was the first time his growth felt believable to me. Not because he behaved perfectly, but because he recognized the old pattern while he was still inside it. At 38 weeks, labor began at 4:06 on a Wednesday morning. I woke to a deep tightening that felt different from every practice contraction. I waited through the next one, then the next. 7 minutes apart. I called Rachel. It's time. She arrived wearing sweatpants beneath a winter coat. Daniel followed in his car with Mina because their babysitter had not answered. At the hospital entrance, Daniel took his daughter home. Rachel stayed with me. The labor lasted 13 hours. There was nothing graceful about it. I sweated. I shook. I cried. I said words I would never have used at Diane's dinner table. At one point, I told Rachel I could not continue. She leaned close. You already are. At 5:23 that evening, Noah James Lawson entered the world weighing 7 pounds 1 ounce. He announced himself loudly. His hair was dark and damp. His fists were closed. His face looked deeply offended by the entire experience. When the nurse placed him against my chest, every other sound seemed to move away. "Hi," I whispered. His breathing came fast and warm against my skin. For months, people had discussed him as though he were leverage. Caleb called him my son when demanding access. Diane called him our family when claiming authority. Tessa had treated him as an obstacle to be managed. But Noah was not a possession of family heir, proof of a marriage, or a tool in anyone's apology. He was a person, new, complete, unaware of every role adults had tried to assign him before he could open his eyes. The pediatrician monitored his iron levels. They were slightly low but manageable. He needed supplements and follow-up blood work. Otherwise, he was healthy. I cried when the doctor said it. Rachel cried too. I called Caleb 2 hours later. He answered immediately. "Is he here?" "Yes." "Is he okay?" "He's healthy, 7 pounds 1 ounce." Caleb made a sound between a laugh and a sob. "And you?" "Tired, fine." "Can I see him?" "Tomorrow afternoon, 1 hour. Rachel will be here." A pause. "Thank you. I'll send one picture tonight." "Emma." "Yes." "I'm sorry I wasn't the man you needed today." I looked down at Noah. His hand had opened against my chest. "So am I." Caleb arrived the following afternoon carrying no balloons or oversized gifts, only a small paper bag. Inside was the wooden mobile from the original nursery. The painted birds had been cleaned and one broken string had been replaced. "I thought it belonged with him," he said. I accepted it. Caleb washed his hands and sat beside the bed. When I placed Noah in his arms, his face softened from the inside. "Hi, Noah," he whispered. Noah slept through the introduction. Caleb looked at him for a long time. "I almost missed everything." "You missed a lot." He nodded. "I know." "I don't mean the birth." "I know." He held Noah for 40 minutes. When the hour ended, he stood without being asked. "I will follow the schedule we agree on." "That is a beginning." He looked toward our son. I started counseling. "Good. I don't expect that to change your mind." "That is also a beginning." He nodded and left. Diane sent a letter 2 weeks later. It was not the perfect apology I once wanted. "Emma, I was wrong to give Tessa the key. I was wrong to let her enter your home and to accept her version of events because it made Caleb's behavior easier for me to excuse. I still believe I was trying to keep the family from falling apart, but I understand that I treated you as the part that could be moved. I do not yet know how to repair what I did. I will not come to your home again unless invited. I am sorry." Diane. The sentence about keeping the family from falling apart showed she still did not fully understand. But the final promise mattered. I did not answer immediately. An apology could be sincere without restoring access. 8 months later, Harbor Home Design operated from a desk near the living room window. The business was small. 2 kitchen layouts a month, sometimes 3. Marcus sent clients who needed design work before installation. Rachel built a simple website while Mina chose the blue for the logo. I earned less than I had at Lawson Home and Floor. But when a customer thanked me for a room, no one redirected the praise. Caleb's visits with Noah became regular. He was not perfect. Once he arrived 30 minutes late and blamed a supplier before admitting he had forgotten to set an alarm. Another time he allowed Diane to buy Noah an expensive crib for his apartment even after I said we should keep sleep environments consistent. We argued. He became defensive. Then the following day, he returned the crib and bought the same model Noah used at home. Change did not arrive as one grand apology. It arrived in small moments when Caleb either repeated the old pattern or chose something different. Diane met Noah when he was 5 months old. She came to my door carrying one wrapped gift. She waited on the porch until I invited her in. That alone showed more change than any speech. Her eyes found Noah sleeping near the window. She covered her mouth. "May I hold him?" "Sit first." She obeyed. I placed Noah in her arms. "He looks like a Lawson," she whispered. My body tightened. Diane noticed. She looked back at Noah. "No," she corrected herself. "He looks like himself." It was a small sentence. But once correction had been impossible for her. She did not ask to see his room. She did not rearrange anything. When Noah began crying, she returned him immediately. Before leaving, she said, "Thank you for letting me come. Not thank you for forgiving me. Not thank you for bringing my grandson back. Thank you for letting me come." That was enough for one day. My divorce from Caleb was finalized shortly before Noah's first birthday. There was no dramatic courtroom speech, no crowd, no final revelation. We signed papers in separate rooms. When I walked outside, a delivery truck blocked part of the parking lot. Someone argued on a phone near the entrance. A mother hurried past carrying a toddler and a diaper bag. Life did not pause to recognize that mine had changed. I liked that. It meant I could continue without waiting for the world to approve. Tessa eventually admitted replacing the tablets after her purchase records and messages were reviewed. I did not attend every meeting or demand every detail. The outcome included a no-contact order and consequences she could not talk her way around. That was enough. Her punishment was not the center of my healing. Caleb sold one of the company trucks and reduced the size of Lawson home and floor. Several clients followed me. Others stayed with him. When old customers asked who had designed their homes, he began telling the truth. Emma did. Once he sent a client to Harbor Home Design without taking a referral fee. I thanked him. I did not treat basic honesty as redemption. On a quiet evening near Noah's first birthday, I hung the wooden letters above his bed. NOAH. The blue paint on this corner of the N remained uneven from the night Officer Cole called. I had once considered repainting it. I decided not to. The mark belonged there. It reminded me that something could be interrupted without being ruined. Above the crib, the wooden birds turned slowly. Caleb had repaired the mobile, but I had chosen where to hang it. That became the shape of our future. The past could contribute something useful. It no longer decided the room. I used to believe dignity would return in one dramatic moment. I imagined Caleb begging, Diane falling silent, Tessa being exposed. All of those things happened. None of them returned my dignity. I took it back afterward. When I signed the townhouse lease. When I finished Noah's name at 3 in the morning. When I refused to turn childbirth into a stage for Caleb's remorse. When I closed the door after Diane ignored my boundary. When I placed my own name on the Harbor Home Design website. When I stopped explaining my pain to people committed to misunderstanding it. Family is not defined by who claims you when you are useful. It is revealed by who respects you when respect costs them comfort. Legacy is not a last name, a company sign, a house, or a photograph cropped to make one person easier to forget. Legacy is what a child learns by watching the adults around him respond to harm. Noah will know that his father made serious mistakes and had to change through actions, not promises. He will know that his grandmother loved him, but had to learn that love does not create ownership. Most importantly, he will know his mother did not keep a family together by teaching herself to disappear. The night the police called, I believed I was driving to a hospital to confront my husband's affair. I did not understand that I was driving toward the last night of my old life. Tessa believed she could replace me. Caleb believed he could return once her lies were exposed. His family believed I would be too pregnant, too exhausted, and too frightened to leave. They were all wrong about the same thing. They mistook patience for the absence of a limit. It was not. Patience was simply the time I needed to see clearly enough that once I walked away, I would never again confuse silence with peace. So let me ask you, if your husband's entire family had helped another woman practice replacing you, then called you selfish for refusing to disappear, would you have offered them another chance? Or would protecting your dignity have become the first lesson you chose to teach your child?